Chapter 6, iPad test review. Okay, all of these questions for the review come from your check it out questions that we have through each lesson. And this was dealing with lessons 3, 4, and 5. And so if you come across this review and you find some problems that you might be struggling with, I've broken out which lesson we're talking about and where you can find these examples. Remember, throughout your lesson, there's also videos on your iPad app. Okay. Lesson 6.3, it wants us to find the degree. When we're finding the degree of a monomial, we're going to add the exponents together of the variables. So in this case here, the degree is going to be 3. One B, looking at my variable, I can see the degree is going to be 1. 1C, again looking at my variable, the degree is 3. And dealing with a binomial, okay, to find the degree, you're going to take the highest exponent, which in this case is 1. And on 2B, the highest exponent with a letter is 4, so the degree is 4. Again, you can find this in 6.3 and you can watch that little video. Okay, write each polynomial in standard form. Standard form means you're going to get the exponents from greatest to least. So my highest exponent is x to the 5th, so I'm going to begin with x to the 5th. Then I'm going to have plus 9x cubed. And then I'll have minus 4x squared. And then that leaves me with plus 16. Standard form, I can see that my highest exponent is 8, so I'm going to begin with negative 3y to the 8. And then I'll have plus 18y to the 5th. Then that leaves me with plus 14y. Okay, our next questions come from lesson 6.4. Here we're adding or subtracting. Okay, when you just add or subtract, do not do any distributing. That is only when you multiply. When you add or subtract, all you're doing is looking for like terms. So in this first example, 1a, I have 2s squared plus 3s squared plus s. It's all addition. So my like terms, I have s squared and s squared. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5s squared plus s. That's all we can do. It is simplified as low as it'll go. 1b. Here I have some subtractions, so I'm going to change it to addition and change the sign right after it. Now look for your like terms. I have z to the 4th, z to the 4th. So 4 plus 16 gives me 20z to the 4th. And then negative 8 plus 2 gives me minus 6. And 1c. Here's some subtraction, change it to addition, change the sign after it. Addition, change the sign after it. Okay, do not look to see that every one of these have an exponent of 8 and think that those are like terms, because they're not. Remember, they have to have the same variable as well. I have x to the 8, y to the 8, x to the 8, y to the 8. I can only combine the x's, so 2x to the 8 minus x to the 8. 2 minus 1 gives me just 1, so I have x to the 8. And then 7 minus 1 is going to give me plus 6, y to the 8. And on D, here's after some subtraction, change it to addition, change the sign after it. Look at our like terms. I have b cubed c squared, b cubed c squared, b cubed c squared. Those are all like terms, so now I'm just going to add the coefficients. So I'm going to have 9 plus 5, which is 14. 14 minus 13 gives me 1. So I have 1 b cubed c squared. Remember, I don't have to write that 1. I can just write it as b cubed c squared. Number 2. I noticed on y'all's quiz yesterday that some of y'all wanted to distribute. Well, you're not going to distribute because this is addition. I have a polynomial plus a polynomial. I'm adding them. I'm not multiplying. You only use distributive property when you multiply. Okay, so I'm going to look at this first set. Do I have any like terms? Do I have any other cubes? No, so I'm going to write down 5a cubed. Squareds, I have 3 plus 12, which gives me 15a squared. And then that leaves me with minus 6a. Drop down my plus. Now I have 7a cubed minus 10a. Okay, from here we're going to combine the rest of our like terms. I have 5a cubed plus 7a cubed, which is going to give me 12a cubed. I don't have any other squares, so I have plus 15a squared, and then minus 16a. Remember, the difference between addition and multiplication is that if I have x plus x, I'm adding, so that's going to give me 2x. But if I'm multiplying x times x, you multiply like bases, you add their exponents, so that gives me x squared. There is a difference between addition and multiplication. Okay, number 3, I'm subtracting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this subtraction to addition, and I have to change the sign of everything in the group after it. Okay, combine like terms in our first step. 2 minus 3 is going to give me negative x squared plus 1. Bring down my plus sign. Negative x squared plus negative x plus negative 1. Like terms, what is negative x squared plus negative x squared? Negative 1 plus negative 1 gives me negative 2x squared. I don't have any other x's, so I'll just have minus x. Then 1 minus 1 is going to cancel out. Okay, lesson 6.5. Now we are multiplying. Okay, multiplying is when you use the distributive property. Okay, so we're going to distribute. And I would break this apart. Since there's no addition, no subtraction, no division in here, and it's complete multiplication, put your multiplication symbols between there. And then break it apart inside parentheses. I have 3 times x cubed. Bring down my multiplication symbol. 6 times x squared. Bring down multiplication. Y to the 4th times z to the 5th. Now just multiply out. I have 3 times 6, which is 18. Multiplying like bases, we add exponents, so that becomes x to the 5th. I don't have any other y's, so y to the 4th, z to the 5th. If we distribute, we can see that 3 times 6 gives me my 18. 18 times 1 gives me 18. Okay, now my x's. X cubed times x squared gives me my x to the 5th. Then that leaves me with y to the 4th, z to the 5th. To me, it's easier to break it apart. 16. It's multiplication again. So I'm going to have 2 times r squared times t. Drop down multiplication. 5 times t cubed. 2 times 5 gives me 10. R squared. T times t cubed is going to give me t to the 4th. Multiply like bases, add their exponents. C is going to be the same way. Again, it's multiplication. I don't see any addition or subtraction or anything. So I would break this to be 1/3 times x squared times y. Drop down multiplication. 12 times x cubed times z squared. Okay, 1/3 times 12 gives me 4. 1/3 of 12 is 4. Multiply like bases, you're going to add exponents, so that's going to be x to the 5th. I'll mark them out after I did it, that way I can see what I'm working with. And then I have y, and then I have z squared. And that's all we can do. Okay, distribute here, I'm going to have 2 times 4x squared, bring down my plus, 2 times x, is that right there, bring down my plus, 2 times 3. So now this leaves me with 8x squared plus 2x plus 6. That's as low as I can go because I do not have any more like terms. Again, distribute. 2 times 4x squared gives me 8x squared. 2 times x gives me the 2x. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Now, distribute here. I have 3ab times 5a squared. You can write that down if you want to. 3ab times 5a squared. Bring down my plus. 3ab times b. So 3ab times b. Break that down. 3 times 5 gives me 15. A times a squared gives me a cubed. And then don't forget your b. Bring down my plus. And then I'm going to have 3 times 1 is 3. A. B times b is b squared. Do I have like terms? No, because this is a cubed, this is just a. So that is as low as we can go. Okay. 2c. Again, I'm still multiplying. So I'm going to have 5r squared s squared times r. 5r squared s squared times r. Bring down my minus. And then I have 5r squared s squared times 3s. So this is going to give me 5. R squared times r is r cubed, s squared. And down my minus. 5 times 3 is 15. R squared, s cubed. S squared times s gives me s cubed. And again, I do not have like terms. Okay, multiply. We're still multiplying. Multiplying a binomial times a binomial. Since it's still multiplication, it's still a distributive property. So I'm going to have a times a, which gives me a squared. A times negative 4, which is negative 4a. 3 times a is plus 3a. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Let me break that down. I'll just write the step down that we did. We did a times a minus 4 times a plus 3 times a minus 3 times 4. A times a gave me the a squared minus 4a plus 3a minus 12. Combine like terms, I'm going to have a squared. Negative 4 plus 3 is going to give me negative a. minus 12. For those of y'all that like to use the Punnett square, that's just fine. I have a plus 3 times a minus 4. A times a gives me a squared. A times 3 gives me positive 3a. Negative 4 times a gives me negative 4a. Negative 4 times positive 3 gives me negative 12. Like terms, I have a squared. Negative 4a plus 3a gives me negative a minus 12. Either way, we get the same answer, whichever way you're comfortable with. 3b, I'm still multiplying, but what am I multiplying? Well, it says x minus 3 squared, so that's going to break down to be x minus 3 times x minus 3. Again, just distribute. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 gives me positive 9. In bottom like terms, I have x squared minus 6x plus 9. (3c). Again, I'm still going to distribute. I'm going to have 2a times a. So 2a times a plus 2a times 4b squared. So 2a times 4b squared minus b squared times a. B squared times a. Plus negative b squared times 4b squared. Okay, so 2a times a gives me 2a squared. 2a times 4b squared gives me 8ab squared. You can see it here. 2 times 4 is 8, ab squared. And then negative b squared times a. So negative ab squared. I'm going to make the habit of putting your variables in alphabetical order. And then negative 1 times positive 4 gives me the negative 4 b to the 4th, because b squared times b squared is b to the 4th. By my terms, I do not have any other a squared, so that is 2a squared. ab squared, so 8 minus 1 gives me 7ab squared minus 4b to the 4th. Okay, I might be confusing y'all by throwing this extra step in there, so I'll work this next one without that extra step. I just wanted to write it down so y'all can visually see it. But if I'm multiplying, I know I'm going to distribute. So x times x squared gives me x cubed. X times negative 4x gives me negative 4x squared. X times 6 gives me plus 6x. Now I have 3 times x squared, which gives me 3x squared. 3 times negative 4x is going to give me negative 12x. And 3 times 6 gives me plus 18. Okay, I don't have any other cubes, so I have x cubed. I have negative 4x squared plus 3x squared, so that is negative x squared. 6x minus 12x gives me negative 6x plus 18. And then our last example on this review, again, is still multiplication. I'm going to write the extra step down as I say it. 3x times x squared. 3x times x squared. Which gives me what? 3x cubed. 3x times x squared gives me 3x cubed. minus 3x times 2x, which gives me negative 6x squared, and 3x plus 5. So 3x times 5 gives me the 15x. Okay, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to distribute. So now I have 2 times x squared, which gives me 2x squared. Then I have 2 times negative 2x, which is going to give me negative 4x. And then I have 2 times 5. 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay. Combine like terms. I don't have any other cubes, so I have 3x cubed. Squareds, I have negative 6 plus 2, which gives me negative 4x squared. 15x minus 4x is going to give me the 11x and plus 10. Okay. That's the review for your iPad Chapter 6 test.